2 seconds ago, right before I started talking, I realized my microphone was off. So that would have been awful for you to just hear me miming. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Make Your Day Richer. I, of course, am your host, Johnny Carson. Joining me today is a guest who brings humor, honesty, and actionable insights to the challenging topic of conflict and division. Scott Grace is an expert in nonviolent communication and the author of a fascinating new book. He's here to explain why outrage is exhausting and why empathy works better, helping us find common ground without abandoning our values. Get ready for fresh, practical insights that can change how you approach conflict at work, home, or even during your 4th of July celebration. So if that sounds like a good idea to you, click that like button, click that share button, and let's start the show.
Make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Scott, thank you so much for being here. It's nice meeting you.
Nice, pleasurable meeting you.
I loved reading about you. I love your story. I love that you are kind of going in many directions and what your your interests are. I think they're so varied and so fun. Can you tell me and everybody watching what a mindful masculinity coach is and how you got into it?
I coined the phrase. I looked up the internet. There wasn't much going on. So I just wrote a book and decided to get rich off of vulnerable men who don't know who they are yet.
Perfect.
I'm a master manipulator.
Yes.
I'm a master manipulator, mindful masculinity coach. That's 4 M's.
Get that on a business card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got into it because my heart was hurting and I was on my knees and I started to get help and I started to create wisdom, or at least receive wisdom, and heal my heart and learn that it's okay to be vulnerable and to ask for support and all of the other no-nos and taboos that men have been programmed with in our culture.
Do you feel like we're coming to a place where it's hopefully more it's happening more than it's not happening for men? Like we've gone so long with like, you're not allowed to do it. My grandpa used to say, walk it off, it'll put hair on your chest. And I've always been the kid who just like cried all the time and was always like so emotional. And is that how you feel like where we're finally getting to a place where it's okay?
There's evolution. It's happening very, very fast at each generation. More and more, there's more permission for men to cry, be vulnerable, be real, not just like this pop-up image of what masculinity is supposed to look like. Actually, being real takes courage, and courage is one of the hallmarks of masculinity.
And if you couldn't tell at the beginning of this interview that Scott's also a comedian, there were jokes there at the beginning of this segment. And I think oftentimes, probably more often than not, there's so much pain behind comedy, and that's why people get into it. Can you talk about how you got into comedy?
Well, ever since I was a young man, I used to get into trouble in school for changing the lyrics of songs and making them, let's say, risque, like strangers in the night exchanging glances. If the girl looks right, you'll make advances. Don't wear your pants too tight, you'll never get them off. 5th grade, and I still remember that was the first satire I wrote. So I became a recording artist. I wrote a lot of funny stuff before I started getting serious in my life. And so it just, I was doing concerts all around the world and I would do some funny songs and people would love it. So I said, let me write some material besides music and put on a show. And it just got me going. And then when I started to become a student and eventually a teacher of the human potential movement, the transformational journey, I would just bring, I'll share some with you if you'd like. I bring comedy to help people become more mindful and be entertained while they start looking within.
That was going to be my question of, people might look at that and go, it's such a 180 from comedy to all these feelings. But can you talk a little bit about how similar they actually are and how you use both of them?
Well, first of all, comedy or laughter for many a man, including myself, it's a defense mechanism. It
Yeah.
blocks those painful, vulnerable feelings. It keeps a little distance between you and your heart. However, I started to write comedy and in such a way that my intention wasn't to escape, but to communicate difficult subjects in a way that allows people to feel safe enough to look inside. For instance, one of my just the most difficult lessons of my life has been to learn to be accepting and gentle with myself. And so I have songs and poems and all kinds of comedy about what I call the inner critic. Let me share. We still have a few moments. Let me share a little taste of it. So when you think about your own inner critic, that little narrator that sits on your shoulder and just doesn't have a kind word to say about you, here's a little rhyme for that. The critic will travel with you on this earth and be your companion for worser or worse. It pretends it's your friend, your bestest amigo, and it pours on the guilt that's the beverage of ego. It's there to protect you, to help you feel strong. So it has to remind you, you've done it all wrong. You're weak and you're lazy and you don't have a clue. That's your drill sergeant critic trying to motivate you. Your critic wants you to be all you can be, so it gives you these pep talks all day and for free. Oh, the places you'll go and the guilt trips you'll travel as the critic plays judge and bangs down on its gavel. I'm almost done. But you always can get some relief from your shame by projecting it onto the others you'll blame. For that is the critic at its beastiest best. It nurses its grievances close to its chest. Republicans, liberals, your parents, your ex. The world is just teeming with folks to correct. If only those fools could conform to your ways, you can get on with life without further delays. So that's just the beginning of a 6-minute poem, and it has a happy ending. It's quite a joke.
I would like that on a poster. I'm going to replace this with that back there. I think that's perfect for everybody who comes on this show.
Oh,
Yeah. Who is the type of person that you usually work with?
mostly. But by the way, I work with women 3 times more than men, so I don't know why I have to go look at my promo stuff. It says mindful masculinity coach. Yeah, no, I'm a so the type of person that comes to me has been humbled. They have bankruptcy, divorce, addiction. They have not just an intellectual curiosity about my work or the book or themselves. They have what you could call a deep thirst and often desperation to get better, to feel better, to find out who they really are, not the inner critic's version, but what's underneath the prosecution, so to speak.
I know the answer to this is probably could be an entire episode in itself, but how has your life changed since you've started this journey?
Well, I went from feeling inadequate to uh, feeling superior, to feeling inferior, to feeling desperately suicidal,
Mhm.
to going into therapy, to going into recovery, to letting go of some of my addictions, and just being on my knees. And on my knees, the right people came along to help me along, and I started to feel better. I don't know if that answers your question. It's pretty roundabout. I started personal growth when I was 18 years old.
Wow.
And so it's been a long journey since being a teen, and having my music teacher in high school introduce me to a book called The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment. And I still quote it and think about it all the time.
Wow. Do you, like you said, the journey, do you think that you're always, everyone's always working on it, right? Like
Yes,
it's not like you go see Scott for 2 weeks and then you're suddenly it's all better.
fixed. I have everything
Yeah.
I want. I am now never going to have a doubt or a fear again. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting fantasy. Maybe it's
Yeah.
Hollywood that sold us. That's happily ever after kind of thing. We are on the planet to work on ourselves, and you don't graduate till you croak. As far as I'm
Mm-hmm.
concerned, whether you do it voluntarily or unconsciously is your choice. But you don't get to choose out of going to Earth School and continue
Yeah.
your classes.
You mentioned your book. Do you want to talk about that, please?
Mhm. All right. Well, I have a
Please.
number of books, but this is my
Yeah.
latest one. It's called Mindful Masculinity, a book for men and the women who love them, except that the sales are so primarily women, like 70-30. I think we should change the subtitle to A Book for Women and the Men Who Want to Keep Them.
And what's it about?
It's a memoir. At the same time, it also has some helpful hints for men who want to balance and develop the right side of their brain, which often is seen as a feminine side, but because it's so undeveloped in so many men, that it takes a lot of courage to access the right side of the brain, the yin. And guess what? When you are exhibiting courage, you are being masculine. So you could say, uh, being willing to look within and find something vulnerable and real and raw is scary work for most men. To find your tears after a lifetime of armor is scary. So by going there, you are being masculine. You are strengthening your masculine by exploring how vulnerable you are underneath your defenses.
What is a tip that you could give that
Besides, buy my book.
but that's a given. That's not even a tip. That is a given. Go get the book. But for men who are scared, like you said, and don't want to maybe admit that they want to go down that because they're afraid of whatever, like what is something that they could do right now today to start
Well,
the
most
process?
men are. Um, there's a chapter called "Addicted to the Fear of Fear."
Mm.
And most men have been taught, I am not going to admit fear. I'm not going to feel it. And it sort of turns around into this free floating anxiety that can't really be controlled because you're not getting to the bottom of it. So I would say for most men, just start by admitting what you're afraid of and look at yourself in the mirror, put your hands on your heart and say, amongst other emotions, I'm scared shitless. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's part of life, and it takes a lot of courage to admit the levels of fear that flow through our nervous systems these days.
Hmm. Yeah. What is the best way that people can connect with you and follow you?
1-800, no, um, 1-900.
900. That's what I guess.
So I would encourage people to go to my website, scottsongs.com, SCOTTSONGS.com. Sign up for my very occasional newsletters. Scroll down the homepage, you'll see my coaching, counseling, mentoring, the 4 books I've written, and have a good time. There's a lot of free stuff that's funny, and this spiritual Dr. Seuss part of my work is up there as well. And then there's
And
6
go buy the book.
poems that are just, it's like everything I've always wanted to say, but
Oh.
humor and rhyme.
What do you love most about your life right now?
I wake up and I have balance. I make a difference. I touch people from all over the world. I get to connect one-on-one with people and really make a difference in their lives. But I also get to play tennis and pickleball and eat really healthy food and freaking love my life. I live in
Yeah.
Mexico, and the pace is slower, the people are happier, there's less stress. I used to joke that it seems like stress is illegal where I live. And I'm not talking about
Mm.
a big city. I live in a small village, Ajijic, which is the number one place for expats to retire to in the whole world. And it's also
Mm.
considered the second best weather in the world by National Geographic. Just don't tell anybody. I shouldn't have even
Don't.
said that.
I'll edit that part out. Well, on the
Please,
yes, on the
you're
other.
gonna have to build a wall, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
I
Yes.
think
Well,
that's
I can't thank you enough for sharing your story, for doing what you're doing, for providing a space and a voice for this, because I just think the more we just talk about it in general, then the more it becomes just part of everyday life, and I think that's important.
yeah. Oh man,
Cool.
that's so true. I'm on a mission from God.
Let's do it with mindful masculinity. Scott, thank you so much for being here.
You're so welcome. I appreciate it.
Come back anytime. He has 4 books, so he'll have 3 more appearances on this show. There you go.
Okay.
All right. Life is difficult. Are you feeling overwhelmed or like you could use a little support for your mental well being? Visit the Help Hub. It's the most comprehensive and inclusive free online destination for mental health resources, helpful tools, crisis hotlines, and supportive content. Just go to thehelphub.co to find the resources you need when you need them most. Unlike other resource pages, the Help Hub is divided into 16 different categories, ensuring that everyone in every community has access to the resources and support that matches their unique needs. Find the help you're looking for at thehelphub.co. Welcome back, everyone. Hey, tomorrow's the big day. It's the 4th of July. I will be in Waxhaw, North Carolina at the 4th of July parade that starts at 10 o'clock. I will be introducing or emceeing or announcing all of the floats that are coming through. So go over by Mary O'Neill's. If you're downtown Waxhaw, go by Mary O'Neill's. That's where I'll be set up. We can hang out. We're also the first stop. So that also means when that last float, we're the first out of there too. So that's kind of fun. And then we can get to our barbecues. All right. What else do I have to tell you? Anything good? No, but you need to this weekend while you're recovering from your 4th of July celebration, look up the TV show Made, MAID. It's a limited series. It's like 10 episodes. It is so good. I watched over the last couple of years. I don't know when it came out, but every time I would get on a plane, I would watch the first episode because it was so good. But then never continued it when I got home. Finally sat down and watched the entire thing. Amazing from beginning to the very last second. I cried. The acting is superb. The storylines, the story development, oh god, it is so good. So you need to look that up. MAID. I think it's Netflix, so you can watch it there. All right, go make your day richer. Go make somebody else's day richer. You've made mine by watching this show, and I love you for it. If you'd like to support the show, buy us a coffee. buymeacoffee.com/make your day richer. And hey, just FYI, we're starting to schedule season 2 of this program that's going to start in September. And get ready. We'll have more news on that later. Okay, that's it. I'm also looking. So we're trying different angles. We're trying to figure out how to do this. I'm trying to figure out which angle is best, and our teleprompter is broken. Okay, not our teleprompter. I don't have a teleprompter. I actually print the intros and then hang them up and then read them. But my printer stopped working. So now I had to change the camera angle because I have to have it on a TV screen because I'm reading the intros from a screen. Goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow.